Starship Vigilant, a Star Trek Adventures campaign.
Hello, Craig, and hello, everyone. This is Starship Vigilant, episode 65. And tonight, which is the 31st of January 2024, we are playing Deliverance Part 1. So I'm joined this evening by Mike, who's playing Taz. Kerrin, who's playing Koleesh.
Hello.
And Sarah-Jane, who's playing Giara.
Hello.
Wow, that's a whole new thing, isn't it? Right, so as we rejoin the action, last time, so if you recall, Vigilant has been sent to the planet, I think it's Disathus 2 or 3, not that important, due to the detection of the usual or slightly unusual readings associated with the Tilikal. And the ship has gone through the asteroid field that surrounds the planet. You had discovered a crashed Orion transport vessel who was supporting the mining operation that you learned was operating on the planet's surface. Arrival at the planet, you found out that, as I say, there was a civilian mining operation being run by Orions who were trying to get access to an artifact or a structure that seemed to be the source of the energy readings that had been detected. And in the course of these events, you rescued the crew of the submersible, the Orion submersible that was trying to access the structure, and the structure rose to the surface. You realised that the Orion mining crew was being commanded by an Orion called Paja Tizhenko, who you'd met previously both on Narendra Station and also on an earlier mission. And you had basically sent a shuttle down to assist with the rescue of the submersible. And you then you'd basically got access to the structure because a Vulcan science officer called Kerrin, who had last been seen on board the USS Lexington approximately 100 years earlier, had emerged from the structure. To her perspective, she'd been gone for a few days or an undisclosed amount of time, but certainly nothing like 100 years. And with her guidance, you managed to gain access to the interior of the structure, which you soon determined was, rather than being Tilikal, was in fact Iconian in origin. The Iconians, if you recall, were an ancient race who had existed at a time that kind of coincided with the Tilikal to some degree, and they had their own advanced technology, which consisted of primarily a network of instantaneous travel gates, which allowed you to would allow you to travel across the galaxy in an instant. And you'd learned that the structure that you had discovered was called a locus, and that within that structure there was a device called the Oracle, or a device called the Oracle, which was the device that Kerrin had been investigating whilst on board the Lexington, and that's what had basically taken her away and has now reappeared on Disathus. And if you recall, you'd managed to gain access to the structure, and you had basically found a sort of control center, and after some messing around with the technology, you'd re-enabled some of the technology, and you had essentially found what seemed to be a map which showed a whole network of Iconian structures or installations which kind of corresponded with the Tilikal locations that you'd found, and specifically locations where the repositories of the Tilikal's physical forms had been kept. So when they had transitioned across into the other dimension, if you remember, you've previously encountered these like stores of their physical remain or their physical bodies that had been kept. And this map basically seemed to indicate that the Iconians were not only aware of them, but had in somehow had access to, either access to or supported or had something to do with the Tilikal's situation. So that's a bit of a mouthful to deliver, but I think, does that more or less fit with everybody's recollection of what we've seen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we rejoin the crew, so you are basically inside. You're still in this structure, and I'm going to just go to the. If I just go to the VTT, so I've just shown you sort of an AI version of this structure, which we're calling the locus. And inside the locus, you'd seen some evidence of advanced technology, and within the locus itself, this is the Oracle, which is the device / vehicle, because it's large. It's sort of largish. It's like sort of, I guess. I don't think we ever really talked about how big it is, but it's like a shuttlecraft or a vehicle. And this is what Kerrin had encountered on the Lexington. And so she, if you remember, had been having, she obviously had some sort of a link with this Oracle device. And again, she'd been able to fill in some of the gaps about the device and the Iconian sort of situation in terms of the Tilikal. And you weren't sure, I recall, whether the Tilikal, whether the Iconians were trying to prevent the Tilikal from coming back, or whether they were trying to assist them. And she'd indicated that she thought that they had concerns that the extended amount of time that they were spending in this other dimension potentially would cause kind of mental imbalance, and they could potentially be a threat. But unfortunately, the Iconians had then subsequently disappeared from the galaxy, mysteriously without trace, hundreds of thousands of years ago, and so obviously had never gotten to enact their plan or whatever their design was for the Tilikal. So she's told you this much at least. And again, so your situation, Mike, is that you're in the structure. She's examining. You're sort of examining the Oracle. You've been to the control room in the locus itself, and she advises you, or she reminds you, whilst you're kind of carrying out your investigations. And also worth noting that some of the Orions are still kind of hanging about. If you recall, they had Tujenko had accompanied you along with a couple of her kind of people, and they're kind of obviously looking on, and it's fair to say that they are, shall we say, looking at some of this technology with avarice. And Kerrin's Kerrin seems increasingly agitated, especially for a Vulcan. And she says to you, we need to try and prevent, or we need to try and, we need to be aware that the Oracle could leave this place at any time, because you've established that it's able to travel through time and space. Because obviously she last boarded it, she boarded it 100 years ago, and to her perspective, hardly any time has passed.
The Oracle is the ship, not the structure.
Yeah, I don't like calling it a ship. It's more like a device, but it's what I'm trying to go over to is it's big enough that she was able to get in. You can get inside it. It's like a ship, but it's a device basically.
Yeah. So, but basically, is she trying to say that if the Oracle goes, the structure will go with it?
She doesn't get that impression. She has the impression that the Oracle is able to move itself to other Iconian structures. So in other words,
what I'm trying to get over is our ship's in orbit, our shuttle's outside. So if it goes, we're not being left behind anywhere.
True, but the problem is, of course, if the Oracle goes, then it's the Oracle which basically controls this, which has the influence over this system. So her concern is that if the Oracle decides that it's not needed here, and it leaves, then you may not be able to then do anything with this Iconian technology, which you may decide is a good thing, or you may decide it's a bad thing. But she's convinced that you need to try and figure out a way to prevent the Oracle from leaving at least until you can figure out what to do with it. So there's your situation. Is you're in the locus. She's kind of investigating. She's kind of looking at the. She's insisting that you look closer at the Oracle to try and stop it from jumping away. And you have you have Orions who are kind of mooching about. They're hanging back for now, and there's only say 3 of them in this structure with you. But again, that might be something else you need to consider. So, what would you like to do at this point?
Do we get the idea that the Oracle is sentient?
Is what? Sorry,
talk to it? Sentient.
Oh, before we do any more, I've just remembered. Mike, I'm going to send you. I did prepare something. I'm going to send you. Have you got your phone? You've got your phone there, haven't you?
Yes.
So if you have a look on WhatsApp, I've just sent you a WhatsApp with a captain's log for you to read out.
Okay, hang on a sec.
I thought rather than me reading it out for you, I'd let you read it.
Right, here we go. I do apologise. Calling the discovery of this new Iconian artifact on
Disathus 2.
A game changer is one of those understatements that's so obvious it would have had me doing push-ups for my academy instructors until they got tired. Yes, here we are, right in the thick of it, as we try to figure out what to do with it, or even if we can do anything with it, or if we should do anything with it. The Orion salvage collectors remain a problem. They're angry. We're here in the first place, despite our efforts to come to an understanding. But the discovery of the Oracle has changed the game. Their leader's smart enough to know that this thing's important to the Federation. The Klingons and a lot of other people are right. A lot of other people. The Orions aren't easily deterred. I'm lost track here. The Orions aren't easily deterred when there's potential profit involved. I would have liked for them to go back to the back away from the site after the previous skirmish, but they're hanging around still, forcing me to send a larger security detail to the planet surface to protect the artifact, and the away team and the site.
So the security thing is really up to you, because again, this is from the scenario, but obviously one potential thing you could do is that the shuttle can safely to and fro. So one thing you might want to consider, and again, I'd encourage you to have a talk with your people. But one thing you could do is simply bring down some more security guards to give you a bit of peace of mind. Obviously, the Vigilant is not. You don't have 50 security guards to throw about, but you have got another sort of.
We don't have transporters, do we? If I remember right.
No, the transporters are not functioning because of the gravimetric distortions.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing that is. So as I say, sorry, I won't get into anything else at the moment. So that's your situation. Again, you're trying to figure out what to do with this thing.
Didn't we leave someone in the shuttle?
Yes, it was probably Alex's character, wasn't it? So it was Davis. So yes, you left him back in the shuttle, just to be careful.
Yeah.
Can't trust
Okay.
these Orions as far as you can chuck them. So,
Kaz to Davis.
go ahead, Commander.
That's captain to you, son. I'm
sorry, Captain. Go ahead, Captain.
I want you to go back up to the Vigilant. Pick up another security squad. I also bring down some of the because I'm assuming we got other. We got any not experts, but we got anybody who might know more that we could legitimately say are coming down to sort of like explore the site as well. We got any more?
Okay. So that's a fair question. So obviously, Giara's engineering
engineering knowledge.
So Giara's engineering team.
Any more specialists that we could get down to? Specialists is probably the best term. That we could bring down as well as security guys.
So to be honest, one of the good thing is the Vigilance got quite a few. You've got quite a few engineering persons. So security consists of obviously Koleesh. I seem to remember we had at least I think you had Marconi and Hendricks, but so you've got another. Does that sound right, Kerrin? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think there was two of them, weren't there? Hendricks and Marconi.
There was two of them. Yeah. So you've got another. I mean, you've got another kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've got about another 10 tactical / security personnel you could bring down. And engineering wise, you've got. I mean, the engineering department. There is again.
It's not necessarily engineering, but it's people who might. I mean, obviously we've encountered Tilakal equipment and Iconian and stuff before.
Yeah.
So have we got any? We still got any crew members on board who sort of like did previous run over look throughs at the when we went? I can't remember the other place. The one that exploded.
I mean, okay, so you've got obviously Osterhagen is with you anyway. Although Kevin's not here, we're assuming Osterhagen is around. So yeah, I mean, obviously all of the crew have pretty much had some experience. I mean, it's probably worthwhile bringing down a couple of engineering people at least because obviously they've dealt with this stuff before, and also that gives you more weight of numbers because let's face it, you can arm a security, an engineering person as well as you can arm a
So
you know what I mean? So you could bring down a mixture of both, and that would legitimately give you a few more numbers to. But maybe you want to have a word with Koleesh about that as to how she wants to manage it, because obviously it's kind of her responsibility to protect the away team and now this artifact. So
I'm just trying to work it out because we've got 2 security guys down here already. There's me, Koleesh.
3 security. There's me plus 2 others. So.
Yeah, I just lost track of how many we've got. So what is 7 down here? 8 down here already?
So you've got Davis, Osterhagen, Kaz, Koleesh, Giara, and then you've got 2 security. So yeah, you've got 7 currently.
7. Okay, so bring another 7-man squad down and 3 specialists.
Okay, so
have we got enough? Have we got? Well, I mean, I'll look at Koleesh and sort of like.
I would like to voice my concern about escalating things too much. I agree that we might be a little light down here, but if we bring down a heavy force, I think they're going to respond in kind. I don't think they're necessarily posturing at the minute, and so if we start things going, then it could get out of hand. I just want to voice that concern. Obviously, the order is on you, but at the same time, I don't want to leave us sort of.
I think the best thing to do then is if we just bring down, so we bring 3 specialists down.
If we make it look like we're bringing more science than we are guns.
Yes.
And basically, we can also leave the any security personnel. We can leave them in the van, so to speak.
Yep.
If they're needed.
Leave them in the transit van.
Put a stethoscope round their neck and then call it a day.
Yeah. Stethoscope with a cope with a stun setting.
Also, Kaz, it might be worthwhile you maybe talking to Zhenko and try and maybe sound her out as to what her, because of course Koleesh is right that they outnumber you because there's about 20 of the Orions. There's about 20 Orion strong party.
Yeah.
So technically,
also, Kaz, if we could maybe put them to work so that they're kept busy, so that they feel like they are involved, and at the same time not twiddling their thumbs thinking about how to make a move on us.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. It's sort of like at least get them involved. I mean they found a bloody thing, so
yeah. And obviously they're going to want to be as involved as possible, right? They don't want us doing a bunch of stuff and then leaving them on the sidelines. So if we have them doing, even if it's busy work, right?
We
could even add a couple of our number to theirs, mix the groups a bit so that we can keep an eye on them, but keep them busy.
The other thing, it might be helpful if they've got scientists as well. They've got experts. Are they just? Did I get the impression that they were just here for the salvage, or did they have any sort of
right?
So some guy who was saying, yes, well, if we come over here, it's great scientific discovery sort of thing.
No, so they're a mining. Their primary methodology is that they were kind of a mining / salvage team. So they were brought here because they were expecting to have to dig the thing out. Now, obviously, that means that they they'll have some engineers, they'll have some geologists, probably a couple of science. I mean, and obviously Orions don't prioritize science over commerce, but yes, that's fair. I'd say it's fair to say that there's
what I'm trying to say is you'd have a scientific lead of the project. You wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah, we can go with that. I think that's totally.
You see what I'm saying? It's like you'll have the grunt, but you'll have someone who goes, "Yes, okay, guys, dig there, don't touch that." Watch out for the guy with a bullwhip and a hat. Yeah,
no, I think that's totally reasonable. So can I take it then that what we'll say is that you've had a chat with. So Giara will nominate a couple of her people to come down as technical support. You probably bring down a couple of science officers as well. Osterhagen nominates a couple of the science team to come down.
Plus, also any equipment they may need, and make a show. Cool. And say when the runabout lands again, make a show of taking the equipment off the shuttle, so at least it's not,
Yeah, sure. That makes total sense. So basically, Osterhagen, Giara, and Koleesh will kind of give you names to suggest, and
I'll let them sort out the.
Yeah, so you give the order to Davis. Or rather, you give the order to the Vigilant. So I seem to remember that we had Katie. It was Katie West who was in command in your absence. So you kind of contact her and explain the situation, and you give your orders to get those personnel prepped. So the runabout, Dave, you see you don't see it because you're inside the structure. Davis takes the runabout, and it's going to take about it's going to take an hour and a half or so for him to do the round trip.
Their ship, they haven't got a ship, have they? They've just got us.
No, they've got like a transport, which is, I guess, like a shuttlecraft, a kind of a.
Okay.
But it's only, or it's not a shuttlecraft. It's like a chopper, like a helicopter. It's like a for them to move equipment and personnel about on the surface. It's not a space.
They haven't got a spacecraft.
Nope. They did have, but you saw it scattered across the side of a moon. So. So that's another thing to consider, of course, as well. That does give you some leverage here because, of course, technically they are trapped here. Although if you recall, she'd sent a message asking for, she'd sent a message asking for transport, but it was going to take, certainly days, if not weeks, for them to get here. So,
can we check with them just as a sort of sign of goodwill, whether they need anything, whether they're sort of fully provisioned? Can we replicate anything for them food wise?
Excellent idea. So I presume this is all leading to the fact then, Kaz, that you're going to go and have a conversation with Tizhenko and try and maybe calm things down a bit. Because again, so Giara is absolutely right in that they are stranded here, and although they presumably have, they obviously have provisions and equipment, but yeah, certainly it doesn't hurt to ask. And as Koleesh also said, maybe trying to involve them in this and get them, get them on side might not be a bad way to go.
No, as I say. So we'll head over. I mean, isn't the leader? I can't remember her name. The Orion with us.
Yeah, she's in. She's in the structure. So while you're having these conversations and you're kind of giving orders, and to Rin is kind of again looking at, she's fussing with the Oracle device, so yeah, Tizhenko and her couple of people. She had a couple of people with her who obviously were acting as security, soldiers, but and she is still in the chamber. So yes, you can certainly just walk over to her. Oh, okay. So you approach her and she sort of looks up. She's in conversation with her two people, and she's like, "So, Captain, what do you have to tell me about my salvage?"
That's an interesting question. I'll just basically tell
surely there's no question of it being my salvage, Captain. You cannot deny that my people and I were here first.
No, you people were here first. And you will get all the credit for the discovery.
You see, the thing about that phrase, Captain, is that credit doesn't necessarily translate to profit.
I thought credit was another term for profit.
I personally prefer Latinum, however.
Yeah. But yes, no, we'll okay. Well, I'll just try and calm her nerves.
Okay, well, I guess if you want to, why don't we do it mechanically? Because you're going to try and, you're going to try and pacify. So I think it's fair that you're going to try and let's make it into
I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to be pleasant. I'm not trying to cut her out. I'm not trying to upset. But obviously there is other considerations.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you going to try and? I guess you're going to probably use. Are you going to try and reason with her? Are you going to? Because your reason is 9. I would presume command would be your other option, because you're trying to sort of convince her, or however you're trying to do it, you're trying to keep her on side, and clearly she's got an eye for profit here, and she's maybe not as accommodating as you might like. So I'm going to have a look at her stats, and what we'll do is we're doing opposed task just to see where it leaves you to start off with, and then we'll see where we go from there. So she's
presumably Starfleet wouldn't offer to buy this to keep it out of Orion hands, would they?
Well, that's ultimately, you could promise her anything at this point. Whether you can deliver on it's another matter. But I guess that the point is, at this point, you're just trying to keep control of the situation. So maybe you could try and say to her, look, you've spoken to Starfleet, and they will be willing to pay her and her team a very handsome
finder's fee.
It really depends. What I'm trying to get out of you is how you want to handle it. So you can either try and threaten her. We've got an armed starship orbiting above, or you could try and
I'm not going to threaten her yet.
Okay, all right.
But I'm going to try and come to a compromise and say, look, Starfleet and again, I'll go a bit off my own back here. Again, I will tell you know, Starfleet will offer you a very handsome
All right.
finder's fee for this but there are not say, but I won't say it, but they said there are, you know, security considerations with all of this.
Okay. Right. So why don't you? I need you to make then. You're going to make a reason and
a complete hash of it.
command. So your 2d20 roll. You need to be your target is 12, and then I'm going to do an opposed roll for her.
Right.
All right. So remember how to use the die. So you click twice on the d20 on the VTT. Okay. Excellent.
Nice.
Ooh.
Right. So that is a total of 3 successes you've made there.
Okay.
So you've managed to the 12 is a success, and then you had the 1 which gives you a success as well. It gives you 2 successes rather. So she's going to roll. I'm going to simply roll her. So she's going to oppose you with the same values. Now, luckily for you, because you're not a male, she does not get the benefit of her Orion pheromones.
Okay.
Because if you remember, Orion's Orion females can deploy pheromones, which are not good if you're a male trying to oppose her. So she doesn't get the benefit of that. So okay. So she only gets 2 successes. So you basically have her in a position where she is she's believing you. So in other words, you know, she was hostile to begin with, but she's now kind of realizing that the reality of her situation is that, you know, despite how much bluster she might have, ultimately you've got an armed space vessel with, you know, a bigger crew. She's got 20, you've got 50, near enough. And, you know, you have the tactical advantage for sure. And also they have no way off this planet without you, at least not at the moment. And so she kind of realizes that, you know, if she can make a deal, she can still come out of this with some credit if she can make a deal.
I'm quite happy to make a deal with her because I'm assuming, going out a bit of a limb here, that there is sort of like Federation policy, not necessarily Telecol stuff, but sort of like finder's fees and stuff like that for if you find something that the Federation is interested in. There is a
listen, you can take, you know, this is obviously, you know, you're the girl on the scene here, right? So you're a captain, you make the decision. So if you offer her a deal,
I'll offer a very reward, a very generous reward thing. Obviously, well, I mean, she can make up her own mind, but
yeah, okay, that's fine. So I mean, all right. So she is she at the moment. So she kind of makes a bit of a show. You get the feeling that she's making a bit of a show of you know, almost haggling with you a bit.
Yeah.
Let's just say, and again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of you know, currency and whatever. Let's just say that you make a deal with her, and she reluctantly agrees to suspend any sort of attempt at hostilities at the moment.
Yeah.
Based upon the fact that you make a deal, and she basically gets you to shake, you know, to shake on it, or however Orion's like to make the deal. But the point is, you agree a deal and say, look, we will make sure that you are compensated. And you can also promise her, I guess, you can say, look, you know, we're investigating this artifact. This artifact has security implications, not just for the Federation, but for the Orion, you know, for everybody.
Exactly.
And we do not know, you know, you can be honest with her and say, look, we don't know how this is going to end up. But if there is some way that you can retain this artifact once the situation plays out, then you'll speak to Starfleet. But obviously you can't make that deal because you don't, that's not your decision.
I mean,
you'll ensure that she's compensated.
Basically, you know, I'll offer a very generous finder's fee. I mean, what I was trying to say is maybe there's others. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's the Federation of Archaeology or whatever it is, and they sort of like if you find like gold or whatever ancient technology or stuff, they will offer a reward for it. And so
ultimately,
what I'm trying to say is that they would that be general knowledge in out in the Federation and stuff that if you find stuff, there's a reward for this shit.
You can tell her whatever you want.
Yeah.
The point is, at the moment she's believing you. So whether or not your deal is legit or whether it's based upon
for the record, I totally intend to honour this.
Fair enough. Okay, so she relaxes a little bit. So she kind of you sense that she's a bit less confrontational. And she also offers you. She says, "Look, I do have a scientist on my crew," and she says, she talks to one of her other guys and says, "Return to the encampment and bring back Dr. Nova, please." And so she says, "I have Dr. Nova is one of our team, and she's an experienced geologist. So I will, she's at your disposal if you can make use of her." Meanwhile, T'Prin sort of comes over to you. She's she's hanging around, while you're having this conversation. And Koleesh, you notice that the two Orion soldiers are also visibly sort of relax a bit. So it seems as if, at least for now, tensions have subsided a bit.
Okay.
Okay. And Giara, you're still. So actually, Giara, I'm going to get you to make a roll for me, please.
Okay.
So you are carrying out some investigations of the equipment in this control chamber. Again, while all this has been going on, you're kind of, going around with your tricorder, and you're working with Osterhagen, and you're sort of, scanning and making records and so on. So I'm going to get you to make, please, an insight and engineering, which will be a 15 is your target number. I'm also going to give you a focus, which I won't disclose what the focus is that I'm allowing you, but I'll tell you if you roll low enough. So
so 2d20s, yeah?
2d20, yeah. And your target number is 15. Okay, so you got 1. That's good enough. You don't get the benefit of the focus, but the point is you succeeded. I'm going to get Osterhagen is also going to assist you. So he succeeds with 2 successes. So you end up with a total of, let me see, where's my little tokens here? You end up with a total of, you've got 2 momentum banked now. Okay, so I've got some counters here in front of me. Okay, so you have determined that the energy that has because obviously when you managed to activate some of the displays and so on, but you realise that the activating the locus as you did, the locus's control systems, is actually has actually drained what power remained in the energy banks. And even as you're scanning, you see that the displays and that start to dim, and it seems as if there was residual energy in the locus itself, which again you've managed to utilize to get this these displays to come up. But now that they've been on for a few minutes, or let's say, I don't know, 10-20 minutes, you can see your readings tell you that basically the locus has got no energy remaining, and the only object that is giving off any energy readings is the oracle itself. And although, as we discussed last time, everything in this this chamber, this building is made of neutronium, which is the kind of the real dense material, and the oracle itself is also made of, although it's not neutronium, it's another, again very resistant material. But you're getting energy readings from the oracle, but the locus itself seems to be without power. Now again, and as you're watching, these symbols, the control surfaces are going dim, and the room begins to go dark. And those of you in the landing party sort of break out the old wrist beacons, like the flashlights that they have.
Double barrel torches, aren't they?
Exactly. So you kind of have to break out the torches because the power is dying in the locus.
Can I say to the captain, Captain, I don't know how much you've offered for this, but I suggest you see if you can get a discount because it's broken.
Yes, you can.
I just give her a sort of like a.
No, Commander. Now is not the time, Commander. Now, as you've kind of come up, this is obviously this is obvious to everybody in this chamber. As I say, Turin was lurking around, waiting for you to talk to Tizhenko, and she says, "Captain, if I may have a moment."
Sure.
So
I'll sort of like move aside so we can have a quiet conversation.
Okay. She says, "Captain, it's clear to me that the Oracle was drawn to this place because of the increased activity from the Tilikal technology in this region. As you know, the Oracle is able to transit to wherever it feels it's needed. But I have to urge you that we must try and prevent the Oracle from leaving, especially now that the locus is without power. The Oracle may interpret this as evidence of the fact that it is not needed in this time and space to interface with the Tilikal technology. So I have to urge you to assist me in
okay.
She says, "Follow me," and she gestures to you, or she indicates to you to bring obviously your landing party. So Koleesh and Osterhagen and Giara. You can obviously probably leave the security guards, and she brings you to the Oracle, takes you inside the Oracle, and basically the Oracle's hatch opens at her approach again, as you saw with the door to the locus.
As if it's sort of like it's opening.
It kind of knows who she is, if you like. Okay, so she leads you inside the Oracle. So I've just changed the view there. She leads you inside the Oracle, and you're inside a fairly cramped
arcade, right? They're pinball machines.
Video, exactly. Yeah, it's a video arcade. Yes, it's Flynn's arcade. If you're not careful, you're going to get de-resed and sent to the grid. So she takes you inside the object, and it is surprisingly mundane. I say mundane. This thing is, presumably thousands and thousands of years old, and it's also a time machine, apparently. But bottom line is, she takes you inside a recognizable, like a control center, and obviously the control surfaces are all Iconian. The iconography is Iconian, but she says to you that when she was taken from her time, she spent some time, trying to analyze how the device would work. And she that you can see at the far side of the chamber, there is also what looks like a circular hatch, which is sealed.
Is that the blue thing?
This is an AI image. It didn't really come out as I wanted, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, there's an obvious hatch. But she says she wants that she gets you to assist, or she's going to get you guys to assist her to try and interface with the control systems. Because what she's saying is, if you can manage to basically tap into the Oracle's control systems, you may be able to actually disable the temporal displacement system. So in other words, you might be able to shut down the system which will force the Oracle to jump away, which is what she's trying to prevent, right? And she says to you, look, we can try this. If all else fails, we may have to access the internal mechanisms, and we may need to actually physically damage the system.
One step at a once. Was she a commander?
She's a lieutenant, I think.
I'll look at her and say, "Why?" I'll look at her with dubious eyes and so on. One step at a time, Commander, Lieutenant.
Yeah, she's a lieutenant. There you go. That's okay. So, right. So what I'm going to do is you're all going to assist her in this effort because what she's trying to do is she's going to try and interface with the with your tricorders and the Oracle's control console. So what we're going to need to do is I'm going to suggest that Giara leads this task because it's a reason and engineering task.
Okay.
And I don't think that if I look at Turin's stats,
they're not that great.
No, she's not bad. But she's only got engineering of 1, so her reason engineering is going to be 11, whereas Giara's would be 15, I think.
Right. Okay.
So, but obviously you can all assist. So as long as Giara makes at least 1 success, as you remember. So I would suggest you probably don't need to spend momentum on this because you've already got potentially 3 of you to assist her.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But obviously you can always spend momentum if this doesn't go your way. So
okay, shall I go ahead and roll?
So it's reason and engineering, and you've got let me just look at your sheet for a second because you've got. I'm going to also allow you to use a focus because you've got electroplasma power systems as a focus.
Yep,
So I'm going to give you a focus as well. So yeah, go ahead and roll that for me. We got 1 success, which is all you needed. Okay.
Okay.
So right. So next up, I think will be Osterhagen because he's got. I think he's got a decent. Let's have a look at his reason and engineering. So Osterhagen, and I'll also get the lieutenant to have a go. So he's got 11 and 2, so he's got 13 or better. So he's going to roll 1 dice. Oh, perfect. Okay, so he gets another success. Okay, so next we'll get Lieutenant Turin. So her, I think she's got. I think I said 12, didn't I? Let's have a look. She's going to roll 1 as well. Okay, so she succeeds. So you've got 3 successes. So you've now got enough successes to interface with the system. So what she does is you manage to basically manage to hack the control system. And it takes about 10 or 15 minutes of trial and error. But she then manages to disable that system. So she's now reasonably happy that the Oracle is not going to jump away unexpectedly. It's up to you whether you want to direct her or Giara to also physically disable that system. So in other words, to literally go in and pull the plug on it if you don't trust.
I'll follow Turin's lead for now.
Okay.
Does she think that we might be able to lure it away at all if we gave it somewhere else that it might want to jump to?
But she doesn't want it to go anywhere.
Hypothetically, does she think that that's a possibility?
Oh, you mean could you make a controlled jump effectively?
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, that's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that, but actually,
just talking hypothetically, it's
sure. So what she's saying is, it seems to her that the Oracle's main function is that it will be drawn to Tilical technology. So the reason that she thinks it's come here in this time is because of all the increased activity with the Tilical technology, which, as you know, suggests that they're trying to get it back.
Just a question.
Yeah.
What does she think it will? Why does she think it's drawn to Tilical technology?
Well, because the Oracle is designed to, because this Tilical, this Iconian technology, is this whole system is set up to do exactly that, isn't it? This is set up to monitor and to interface with the Tilical.
Does she think it's here to stop it, or?
Well, that's an excellent question. She's not entirely sure. Her belief is that the so again, given that this is the information that the Oracle has kind of given her, and this has all come through impressions. This is this is not like she's had a conversation with somebody. This is what she believes that the Iconians were trying to assist the Tilical in reintegrating with their physical form because they were concerned that the Tilical's prolonged absence in the other dimension would potentially, and as you've seen with our friend who came back, there is some evidence to suggest that extended period in the other dimension has caused some sort of mental instability.
Yeah.
And given that the Tilical have technology that allows them to move planets, you can see why that might be a concern. So she believes that the Iconians had put all this stuff in place to assist the Tilical in returning to their bodies, but could also have been put in place as a means of preventing it from happening. The point is that they created this device to interface with the Tilical's own network, which they had used to transfer between the dimensions. So this is like a remote control mechanism for the Tilical's transference.
Okay, I asked this earlier. Can we communicate with it? Can we?
With what?
With the Oracle. Is it
not as such? No, because it's simply a device. It's simply it's like a control, and it seems to gather information. It seems to be drawn to where Tilical technology is active, given that it was last seen 100 years ago in that system where you had that other issue. And
this might be the key to us controlling Tilical technology.
Exactly, and that's what she's trying to get at, is that to her it's important that you keep it under control, or at least in reach. And the problem is, if it had jumped away, it could have gone to any point in time or space, and that would be the end of it. So at least now you have it here. Now, to answer Kerrin's question, in theory, if you were to go to one of the Tilical outposts that you found, and you were to fire up the technology, then from what she's saying, there's every possibility that it might very well go there.
Yep.
Because that seems to be what it's interested in. But this is not necessarily a sentient. This is a device. It's a probe / time machine.
Yeah.
And so, right, on that note, I'm going to just pause for 2 minutes. I'm going to come right back. So I'm just going to drop out of the audio, but I'll let it keep recording.
Okay.
I'll be back in 2 minutes.
So what do you guys think?
Well, I don't want to be underhanded to the Orions, and by all means pay them for their find. But
the point is, Federation security overrides.
Sure.
Right to get rich.
But I'm thinking that if we could fire up one of our previously found sites that we've got a bit more control over to try and lure this thing there, maybe even in a fashion that we can secure this.
Yeah. Trouble is, I don't think, maybe wrong, I don't think there's any surviving ones, is there? Because the original...
I think we've got a few sites. I think we might have a couple of sites. You'll have to check with Steve.
Is this where there's Tilical technology?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we found up before you joined the group, we found there was an underground complex which was in a planet that exploded, took a ship out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. That was the one that jumped, wasn't it? That was the jump that had collided with a planet. Do you remember that?
Yeah. What was the first one on?
That was that planet, Omicron, whatever it was.
It had a number to it, didn't it?
Yeah. But that was the one. That was the first one where we found the runabout or the shuttlecraft that had crashed, and there was the complex underneath it. That's the first one we found. But I think that's the one that jumped. I think that's the one that collided with.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying there might be others, but they might be out of range or whatever. That's why I'm saying it's. Yeah, because the only other one the other big one we found was the one that had all like the ley lines and stuff on it. Remember where we ended up going into the other dimension, and that was the planet. That was the planet that the first one crashed into. So I don't actually know if there's another Tilical complex around.
Well, they're the ones that we've visited.
Yeah,
I'm sure the Federation have come across a few others. I mean, Steve can confirm for us, but that's what I was thinking. I mean, the place where we are now. I mean, communication is difficult here. Transport is difficult here. And if this site has powered down, then there's nothing anchoring it here. So if we've got more control over a different site,
but it's not the complex. It's not the complex that'll jump. It's just the Oracle.
I know that. But because the complex has lost power, the Oracle's got no reason to stay here. I know that we've disabled it potentially temporarily at the minute, but how are we going to move it? If we could get it to jump to where we've already got a site established.
Yeah,
just an idea.
Yeah, but it would also take us time to get there. I mean,
Of course.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not trying to put it down. I'm just.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's my thought path at the minute. Especially if we've already got a secure site where we've already got a bunch of scientists working on this stuff anyway. It seems like
it's not a bad idea, because again, I mean, if there's one thing we're certainly out of the loop on telecom technology and such, because we haven't got it. You know what
Stop
I mean?
talking about it now.
Yeah, we are talking about it.
That's all right. I'll listen back to it later.
No, okay, fair enough.
Right, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Question that came out of that conversation was: is there any other telecom sites
that the Federation have got control over?
We're in a reasonable distance, because I thought there was the planet where we first found it. I can't remember, the one that had the Galaxy class was in orbit around.
Oh,
remember?
Ogren. Yeah, but
Ogren,
remember that was destroyed, wasn't it? Because you remember that ended up jumping.
That's what I thought.
Moved across space.
That and the other planet that the Ogren 4 hit, or Ogren 3 hit, or whatever.
Yeah.
Were the only places we found Telecol.
I can look. If you bear with me a second, I can probably look that up, because I've got the book in front.
We're looking for a suitable site to be bait.
Oh, it was the Candidate 3 system, wasn't it?
Yes, that's where
Candidate 3, and that was the one where the where the ship
where we met the assessor.
Yeah, so that one unfortunately didn't go so well.
Yeah.
And you do have, and you'd obviously been in the Pocket Universe.
Mm.
You obviously did find there was a couple of other planets, wasn't there? There was the planet which belonged to there was the Setu, but that was something slightly different. And then there was
one with a race of people.
Yeah,
already dwelling on it. Didn't they live in like almost tree houses or something? What was that?
Yeah, that's right. I can't remember the name of the world off the top of my head. But yeah, so you have come across other sites, obviously, in terms of being under Federation control. Probably.
What I think he means is it's got a sizable scientific complement as it contingent investigating.
I guess the biggest one was probably Organ 3, which of course got destroyed.
Yeah.
But obviously there are teams around, and obviously you have left science vessels behind as well. So there are other instances around where you've come across it. And of course, if you can actually, one other thing to bear in mind, of course, is if you can actually get, if you can think of a way to get power back to the locus, of course, you could gain access again to that map, which, if you remember, basically gave you all the locations, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So on that note, so so basically, let me just make sure I'm back up.
Didn't we have? Didn't you go somewhere else? Didn't we have a Telecar with us for a while?
Yes, you have got Facin is up on the ship, yeah. But don't forget, his usefulness has been fairly limited, because of course he had no memory of his time in the other universe, other than so he has some familiarity with obviously with the technology.
But I'm more interested in the technology. If we can get him down here,
you can do that. He's
might be
able to. So you could get him down here if you wish.
Yeah. Okay. Get him on the shuttle when it comes back. Get him on the runabout when it comes back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Although, of course, one thing to bear in mind is this planet. You've not found any telecol technology here, have you? This is Iconian technology, which he won't know anything about. But
that is very true.
Right. As you're discussing your next move, so you've just to summarise. So you've managed to get the Oracle to Rin is happier now that you seem to have disabled its ability to jump away, and as you are investigating, one of the security officers, so Marconi, appears. He sort of comes into the Oracle control center, and he has a sort of, he shows a bit of, he looks around, as if to go, oh, cool. But he says, Captain, I'm getting a partial transmission from Vigilant. I think you might need to step outside to take the transmission.
Okay. I'll head outside.
So it takes you a couple of minutes to, if you remember, there was a passageway that you had to walk down.
Yeah, we had to walk back out.
And obviously, as you go further out, and as you get outside, the signal, you're able to get a signal through. So it's Ensign. It's Katie, isn't it? From I think it was Katie.
Katie West.
Katie West. So she says, "Sir, I've just received a transmission from Starfleet. Admiral Herbert needs to speak to you urgently."
Okay, put him through. Put her through. Put him through. Her through. Him through.
Okay,
Whatever.
so yeah, so the communication pauses for a second, and then you go, Captain, this is Admiral Herbert. What's your situation?
Basically, we have found Iconian technology, and I'll give her a full rundown of what's.
Yeah, I think you did. I think I seem to remember you sent them sort of a partial report, didn't you? Did you not? I seem to remember you sent them an update. So she just says, "So are you secure?" Firstly,
reasonably, yes. As secure as we can be. Assistance may be required, though.
Have you made any progress in accessing the Iconian artifact?
We've made a bit of progress. We are still studying the device because, as I say, I'll tell her about the Oracle as well. Because I'll tell her there's two devices. I'll tell her there's the core, which is the blue spike or whatever it is, and then there's the Oracle. And I'll tell her about that. I said, at the moment we are investigating the Oracle. I'll tell her about Lieutenant Tulin.
I think you had reported that back to her. She says, "I'm glad you mentioned Lieutenant Turin. Dr. Taliaferro, who, if you remember, she's like the chief science officer on Narendra Station. Dr. Taliaferro has taken a look at those biometric readings that you sent over with your last report, and she can confirm, as hard as it may be to believe, that this is indeed." As far as we can tell, this is indeed Lieutenant Turin. We've compared her biometric readings with Starfleet records.
They'll be on record, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So she goes. You know, as incredible as her story seems to be, it seems to be that she's telling the truth. Now, I have serious news for you. Long-range sensors have detected multiple vessels near the Romulan side of the neutral zone heading at high speed towards the border. We've subsequently lost those signals, so we believe that there are at least several cloaked Romulan warbirds currently heading into the Expanse. Given the activity only started after the Oracle signal was detected, we have no reason to assume other than that they are heading towards your location.
Can we expect assistance?
I've put together a task force from our available resources, and they are already, or they have departed Narendra, and they are en route to you. I've urged them to travel at maximum warp to reach you as soon as possible. However, it's unlikely that they will reach you for at least 36 hours or so. And unfortunately, it appears as if the Romulans may arrive before then. So you may wish to analyze your tactical situation and take any necessary precautions that you can. I'm sure I don't need to emphasize to you, Captain, how important potentially this discovery could be, and how vital it could be to the security of the Federation and the whole quadrant. So,
Admiral, I have a question. What should I? Yeah, what should? Yeah, of course, I can never figure out how to say it. Right, Admiral, I have a question. What measures may I be permitted to stop the technology falling into unfriendly hands?
Well, as hard as it is for me to say, Captain, you are to do whatever is within your power to prevent the technology from falling into the hands of the Romulans. Tactical analysis suggests that obviously, if the Romulans were to gain access somehow to Tilikal technology in any meaningful way, and especially Iconian technology, then that could be catastrophic for the security of the region. So you are authorized to use all means necessary up to and including the destruction of the artifact, although that is to be considered a last resort. However, the Vigilant is also considered to be expendable if necessary to prevent this from falling into enemy hands. Do you understand?
Understand, Commander. Understanding there, but I understand.
Commander, I'll have
Yeah.
your stripes.
Well, why not?
Yeah, but I sincerely hope it doesn't come to this. However,
so do I, Admiral. So do I.
However, we know that the Romulans have shown interest in our activities within the Expanse, despite our efforts to keep the scale of the Tilical situation from them. And obviously, we cannot allow for them to have unfettered access to Iconian technology, and certainly not Tilical technology. So, as I say, assistance is en route. I'm diverting all resources possible to reach you in time. However, unfortunately, the task falls to you as you are on the scene. So you are authorized to do whatever you feel is necessary to prevent that technology from falling into their hands.
Understood, Admiral.
Please report back within. Please report back in 6 hours with a status update.
Understood.
Station out.
Right. Okay. So I asked Katie West. I said, "Did you hear that?"
Yes, sir. What do you want me to do? She obviously sounds slightly nervous at this news, given that.
Right. Okay. Begin preparation. Bring. I won't say not general quarters, but at least bring the ship to an alert status. You said
yellow alert would be appropriate.
Yeah, you probably yellow alert probably. Right. So we want. You said that the estimated time we're going to be here is like 36 hours, or was that
the Starfleet?
We're going to be here in 36 hours.
The arrival of the Starfleet task force is going to be 36 hours.
We have
no idea how long the Romulans are going to be because you don't know for sure that they're coming. Although again, circumstantially, that would seem likely.
So we have an idea where the ship started, don't we?
I beg your pardon?
Do we have an idea? We have an idea where the Romulan war starships were when.
Yeah, yes. Narendra Station was tracking them right up to the border, and then they.
Okay, so how far is it from the border to here?
I mean, Star Trek.
How long would it take?
It moves at the speed of plot. So let's say it's going to be. Let's say it's going to be. I don't know. So we said 36 hours for the task force. So let's say it's going to be 30 hours. So there's a kind of a 6 hour, a small window where they could potentially. It could be anywhere from 24 to 30 hours. So you could have a day, or you could have a day and a half.
I turn around to the crew. I open sort of like thing and say, right, we have 20 hours to complete our work here. Because I say after that, I'm going to get everyone back to the ship and think the unthinkable.
Okay.
Because this has to be. We have to deal with this before the Romulans get here.
Okay.
Everybody concur?
Sure. Yeah. Whatever happens needs to happen before they arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can't let this technology fall into Romulan hands. We are outnumbered. Okay. We are outgunned.
So things that you can think about here then. So obviously, one thing that you could practically do is you could try and get power back to the Locust, because the Oracle and the Locust seem to work together.
Okay.
So that might be because you know from Giara's investigations that the power seems to be the Locust seems to have basically run out of juice. So one thing you could do is look into ways that you could get energy to the Locust, and if you can get both of those, the Locust and the Oracle up and running, then you may be able to find more about what you can do with it, because at the moment you don't
Okay,
really know what the structure can do.
I'll look at Giara and say, look, do you have any ideas? You're the engineer.
Yeah. I'll say I don't, but I can investigate. And is there any way that I can find out where the power, how the power can be replenished, where it's come from, where it's been generated from?
Absolutely. So what you can do. So again, the let me just go back to the. So just to remind us, the. No, that's not it. So yeah. So this is the structure. This is the locus, and the oracle is somewhere within this central chamber. And so what you can do, Giara, is I'm going to get you to make a reason and engineering roll. Now you've got 2 momentum available to you if you wish to make use of that. So you can use that to buy extra dice, but you might want to hold off on that, only because what you're doing is you're basically trying to ascertain what the power generation system is like. Where does it get its power from? Can you do anything to
increase it, recharge it, whatever?
I mean, does it need petrol? Does it need, does it need fuel? Does it need whatever? But the point is, that's the first thing you need to do is to do that, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can spend some momentum, but I would maybe recommend it might be worth simply trying to roll first and see how you get on. It's going to be a difficulty of 2.
Okay.
And I'm going to allow, obviously, Osterhagen's available if you need someone to give you an extra roll. But
I'm loath to say this because it's a bit of a trope, but is there any chance that, because you're Trill, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Yes. So what's the chances that one of your hosts would one of your symbionts would have?
It is a trope, but it's a valid one, because that's the whole point of being a Trill. So
would it be a bit more knowledgeable about Iconians?
Yeah.
Well, it might not be about Iconians. I mean, I guess at the moment I would say just try and make a roll, see how you get on, because you're an engineer, right? So you understand the principles.
Okay, rolling now.
And then we can always go down that road if necessary. Okay. So yeah, give me that. Oh, that was you just there, right? Okay. So you got a success, which is great. So what we'll do is we'll get Osterhagen to assist you, because obviously your other engineering team haven't arrived yet. At the moment, you're down on your own. Basically, you're expecting them to arrive imminently. So let's have a little look here. It has got a with reason and engineering of got a 13. Let's try that. Oh, excellent. Okay, so there you go. So between the pair of you, you kind of do a bit of investigation, and this takes you again 10-15 minutes. So in the meantime, and obviously you won't hear this because you're in the structure. You can't really hear anything outside. But the you are soon joined by your engineering people, Giara, and obviously the runabout has returned. So Davis reports to you. So he sort of reports to you.
Did you bring what's it
Facing, yeah. So Facing has come along.
Okay, I'm just wondering whether the
Tillicol.
The main thing was that I wonder if the Oracle will react to him.
Say that again.
I wonder if the Oracle will react to his presence.
Okay. Well, you can. Well, that's a good point. Let's deal with that in a moment. So first thing, so Giara's investigations tell you that you basically managed to find, after a bit of poking around, you find the generators basically within the structure. And although obviously this technology is ancient, but it's clear that that what you probably need, they probably basically need a jump start. So what you decide that you could do is you could actually transfer some power from the runabout You could rig the runabouts deflector, because the runabout, like all Starfleet vessels, have a deflector dish. So what you can do is you can rig the runabouts deflect
beam
to,
power into the
to
ship.
do a power transfer beam. Basically, you can send, the Enterprise has done it before, that you can send power through this beam into the structure. And the thinking is that you can basically jumpstart these reactors, because although they're functional, they're intact, but they've just been inert for so long that you basically drained any. It's like the car battery, right? That's been in the cold. So it's been sitting there for 15,000 years or whatever, and you're basically going to give it a jump start. Okay, so Giara can
I'll just say to the captain that I've got to go get the jump leads and
some jump leads. I'm going to back the runabout up. I'm going to get some jump leads.
Yeah.
I'm gonna while this is going on, I'm just gonna wander over to Koleesh and say, look, we need to bring the Orions in on this. I think. What do you think? Bringing the Orions in on this, because we may be able to get them to help, and if they do, because as I say, the Romulans won't be interested in their salvage rights, won't be interested in anything else. They'll just turn up and flatten them, get what they want.
I agreed. I think that the Orions will probably be able to see that dealing with us is going to be more beneficial to them.
I think we need to, because as I say, it's just, I think that'll help. I mean, we need all the help we can get at the moment. And so we need to tell them that I think we need to tell them that there's a Romulan fleet on the way. Because if we don't, I don't know.
Well, there is the risk of them siding with the stronger force if they feel like
but the Romulans won't be.
The Romulans might overpower us. Then there is the possibility of them turning coat on us. So maybe letting them know that there is a threat approaching, but not giving them all the details. I also have an idea, a security idea that it's slightly risky. I'd like to set up a second site. I want to move all of this Orion gear to somewhere else and make it appear as though that is the site in which is being investigated, somewhere that we can defend quite well, just to buy our guys a bit more time. It does mean spreading our security forces across 2 locations. But if the Romulans aren't looking at this site and they are attacking a different site, one that which we could probably fortify a bit better, it might buy us a bit more time. It would require having the Orions on side, though, because we're going to need them to move all of this.
Either way, we need the Orions on side.
We do.
So we do.
I just think that letting them know that there is a threat is definitely something, but not letting them know all the details.
One other thing that I'll mention, which you might not have considered, is that it does occur to Koleesh that you do have one slight tactical advantage in this situation, is that bearing in mind that the planet is surrounded by this very dense asteroid field, it's going to be very difficult for Romulan warbirds to get within close proximity of the planet.
Plus there's no transporters, is there?
So there's no transporters, and also Romulan warbirds are way, 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 way bigger than.
Yeah.
So Galaxy, the Defiant is about. Defiant is what? Well, it depends who you ask, but the Defiant's like 150 meters long, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Is that something like that?
Something like that. I couldn't tell you
the Vigilance, 125 to 150 meters.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: the Vigilant would probably fit under the saucer of the
easily would fit under the saucer of a Galaxy class.
No. What I'm saying is the Defiant would fit, or the Vigilant would fit under the saucer of Kirk's Constitution class, and Kirk's Constitution Kurt's Constitution class will fit under the Saucer of the Galaxy class.
Okay, so the Romulan warbirds, the standard big Romulan warbird is 1,050 meters long, so it's a kilometer long. So one thing that Koleesh will point out is that although it's possible that the Romulans could get through the asteroid field, they would have to basically blast their way through, and that's going to take time, and they're going to take damage, because the Defiant obviously is, was able to slip through relatively unscathed. But it's more likely that the Romulans would send in shuttles, or so in other words, that limits the number of opponents, at least initially, that you're going to have to deal with, right? You're not talking about them coming into orbit, sending down 10,000 troops. They would probably send some sort of assault shuttlecraft or whatever, which does give you some peace of mind. I mean, you could, yeah, you could. Why not?
Relay mines in the asteroid.
That hadn't even occurred to me, but you certainly could. You have, like we said, you've got probably 30 to 32 hours. So you could do something along those lines. And also Koleesh's recommendation would have more impact, given that you're not likely to be dealing with, thousands of Romulan troops. You're going to be dealing with an away team or a couple of landing parties, or, at least initially. All right. So just thought I'd put that out there for you.
I mean, basically, we just need to hold them off for 36 hours.
More
like 10 to 6 hours.
Well, yeah,
and it could be as little as 4 hours. It could be 6. It could be somewhere between sort of 5 and 4 and 10 hours. You've got to probably manage them before backup would arrive. But anyway, that's your sort of tactical situation. So yes, you are the Vigilant is definitely outgunned and is definitely smaller, but you do have some advantages. And again, the Vigilant is much better at getting through that asteroid field than.
I'll talk to Katie West again, Lieutenant West, and I'll say, look, get engineering and security teams to start knocking up mines.
Okay.
Mines.
So Giara can coordinate that with her people. I mean, okay. So here's another question. So what do you want to do about the disposition of your people, given the situation? So, for example, is she better served being on the Vigilant, or is she better served being here? Again, I presume at some point nearer to the time, you will probably want to return to the Vigilant to take command. If they're going to have to face a firefight, you don't really want to be leaving. So I guess that's a decision you can put off for a while. And she's certainly very capable. And again, you can order them to prepare mines, and they can do that relatively easily, because all you're going to do is put photon torpedoes and take the.
The other thing is, when we start talking, I'll fill the leader of the Orions in on the situation, as Koleesh says, not. Just give them a general fact. And an opposing force has decided they want.
So is this you talking to the Orions?
Yeah.
Okay, so hang on a minute. I'm going to make a note. So I say mining the asteroid field. Okay, fine. So we'll leave the Vigilant off doing that. So Katie West goes off to get on with that.
Yeah.
So Giara's task down on the surface is you're going to try and run the jump leads from the runabout to the locust, and Koleesh is going to look into setting up an alternate, like a decoy site. Was that what you said?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. If Kaz thinks that is, because as I pointed out, the risk of splitting our force in two, if they don't fall for it for some reason, then we're.
The only thing I'm thinking is that we're in the middle of a pyramid that's generating a huge amount of energy.
No, it's not. It's not generating any.
Or well, it will. Hopefully, it will be by the time we're finished with it. But there you go.
Well, maybe not, because don't forget that the pyramid is constructed from neutronium. So
that is true.
You can only detect this stuff because you're inside it. So from outside, if you remember, your scans could not penetrate it at all. So what you could potentially do is, if you could rig up an alternate power source somewhere, then at least initially to scans, it would, if they're scanning for energy sources, then what they're going to see is they're not going to see that pyramid. Obviously, if they scan visually, then sure, there's a honking big pyramid sitting there. But in terms of from distance, then Koleesh is right. If you were to set up a generator or something, now maybe that's something you could talk to the Orions about, because don't forget they've got a whole installation on the surface. So
so we'll basically bring them in on the planning. So we can
right. So you go and find Tzenko. So she's she's obviously blissfully aware at this point. So how much do you want to tell her?
I think. Well, I mean, there's a
You could say that there are reports of an unidentified threat coming to claim this as their own, and we are willing to defend it for her, but we need her help.
Yeah, I'll go with that, but I will say we've only got about 36 hours before they get here. Tops. Or 30 hours.
Captain, I hope you are not trying to renegotiate the terms of our agreement.
Believe me, that's telling me
the truth.
I am telling you the truth, and that's the last thing I want to do. That come out wrong. I'm telling you the truth, and I have no interest in renegotiating our agreement. It's still, so far as I'm concerned, it is still valid, and it will be honoured. However, there are bad faith actors who are at present on the way here, who will have no qualms about taking it from you.
No qualms about killing Martians.
Exactly. No qualms about killing them. Well, have they got
Romulans have no qualms about killing Martians.
Yeah, but the Orions got elastoplast on the back of their neck.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So, all right. So she. Very well, Captain. We will see how things play out. However, for the moment, I'm willing to accept your interpretation of events. What would you have us do?
Right. I'll point her in Koleesh's direction and say liaise with Koleesh, but the idea is I want to set up an alternate camp, at least a distraction, so they won't come here. It will buy us time for our forces to arrive.
She says it is possible for us to relocate our equipment to the other side of the body of water. In fact, initially we had our scans were inconclusive, and we'd attempted drilling on that location. So we could certainly conceivably move our operation to that location. However, it will take time.
Yeah, but we'll give you every help we can get. The other thing is too, we still got 2 shuttlecraft upstairs, up on the ship, haven't we?
Correct.
2 small ones. I'll get them brought down as well.
Okay, so you did that order. So fair enough. So the only thing is you only do have one issue. Oh, actually, because you're going to need one of those shuttlecraft to mine the asteroid field, aren't you?
Okay, I'll bring one down then.
Because the torpedoes, you can't launch the torpedoes because they won't have propulsion. You're rigging them as explosives, so they'll probably have to use one of the shuttles to mine the asteroid. But you can bring the other one down, sure.
Kaz, were we able to land the Vigilant at all or not?
You can. You've done it before.
Yeah, you can, but do we want to?
I mean, for our getaway, it makes it a hell of a lot quicker for us.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an option. You have done it before. All of your flight control personnel are cleared to do so. So it's definitely something that you can do. So
we'll set our defences in orbit up. We'll set the minefield up because it's, as I say, it's not mining the entire planet, the entire asteroid field, just sort of like the area that the typical approach vectors that would be required.
Yeah. I mean, you would assume that they would have to use the same or similar vector that you came in on, because it's the most obvious route through the asteroid field.
Yeah, so we'll mine that, and then probably bring the Vigilant down.
Okay, fine. So
could we disguise the Vigilant? Maybe put up some sort of scaffolding around it, temporary scaffolding, so it looks like a structure on the surface.
Yeah, I mean,
is there a lake? We could hide it in the lake.
You could do that.
We could.
Yeah, you could certainly do that. Again,
that way we've got the element of surprise.
It might read as a submersible if they. Again, it depends how closely they look. And again, you know that the that another thing in your favour, of course, is that there is this these electromagnetic interference which caused you problems, which means the transporters don't work. But if you remember, also the sensors were struggling.
Yeah.
So again, all of these things work in your favour.
We could put it in the lake, land the ship in the lake, and then that would keep it out. Because again, they'd probably be able to pick it up on sensors. But if the sensors are screwed, all we really need to do is hide it from.
Again, they would probably detect it if they got close enough. But again, the chances are they're not going to be doing too much scanning. They're going to come in hard and fast. They're coming to do a thing. So also a good suggestion, and I would certainly rule that would disguise the Vigilant's presence.
Because
and again, you can do it, because we know that according to J.J. Abrams, of course, you can put a starship in underwater. So
but just think of the special effect.
I'll allow it.
Steve, just think of the special effect when we take off.
Yeah, no, exactly. That'd be
cool. We're gearing up for the finals, Steve. We need to
maximize the wow factor.
That's it.
The only thing I'm not going to agree to is that the engine room is not going to look like a brewery. Okay.
No, that's in the landing gear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good point. Who's got the steel? Yeah, that's a good point. Make sure.
What about the lens flare? What about the lens flare? Can we work on the lens flare?
Yeah, there'll be some lens flare, I'm sure. Okay, so we've got a few little tasks there to get on with. So I think the first thing probably. So what we'll assume is Koleesh is going to go off. So Koleesh goes off with Tozhenko, and basically the Orion camp becomes a hive of activity. So what they do is they're using their as I said, they've got like an atmospheric transport, which for want of a better word is like a heavy helicopter, which they use to move their mining equipment around. So basically they start upping sticks from their camp where it's currently located, and they basically move the base. They start moving their equipment kind of, and it's about 30 kilometers away, further around the bank of this big body of water that you found them on, and so they begin to. So that's in operation, and basically Koleesh will supervise with her to make sure that goes smoothly. One thing that probably Giara will need to do once you've dealt with this other issue is you could probably be useful in getting some of your people to go and see whether you can do something to generate a bigger power source for the Orions, because again what this is all about is about kind of disguising or at least distracting them so that they aren't looking in the right place, at least not initially, right? So
wouldn't we have some power generators to survival gear, sort of like generators?
Well, I mean, they've got this again, I've just changed the image there. So remember, they've got this kind of, as I've said, they've got this like temporary outpost they've set up, and they've obviously got generators and everything. So what Giara's team could probably do is just rig them to output more energy, to basically over rev them, so that you can flick a switch and that these things will start putting out more energy than is probably safe. But the point is, if somebody's scanning from orbit, it will look like, oh look, there's a big power signature right there. So that's likely to be the first place they're going to look. As I say, the pyramid from orbit will be inert. The Vigilant, if it's underwater, will be hidden. And like I say, on an initial scan, and if the Romulans were as lazy as you suspect they probably will be, in other words, they're going to be
coming in.
Well, they don't generally, they're not generally that cautious, right? So chances are they'll go, oh look, there's a big power signature, let's go for that. So I think it's fair to say that if you can, put everything in place to make it look like this is where they want to go, then initially at least they're going to be, looking in the wrong place. Okay, so that's what Koleesh and Tezhenko are focusing on right now, is getting this up. So you're moving the equipment, and that'll carries on in the background quite happily. So meanwhile, back at the pyramid, so Giara, what you've done is you've gone to you've got the runabout, and you basically Davis flies the runabout over to the over to land near right next to the pyramid. And so what I'm going to need from you again is a reason and engineering task, please. So straightforward reason and engineering, which I think again is 15 for you, isn't it? Perfect.
Ooh.
Right, and you also get an extra success because you rolled you get 2 because you rolled a 5 and a 3.
Yeah.
And because your focus is in electromagnetic power systems, EPS systems, so you basically made 4 successes there. So that means you've now got 4 points of momentum. Actually, no, you've got 3 points of momentum because we've changed scenes. So you've got 3 points of momentum banked. And yes, you succeed. What you do is you reconfigure the shuttle's deflector to basically transmit energy. And so after about, I don't know, half an hour of fiddling about with it, you and your team begin to transfer energy into the locus. And after a few minutes, those of you with tricorders in the structure soon begin to see that the energy is beginning to build in the generator systems. And what you're going to do basically is you are going to you let it accumulate energy, and then Kerrin is going to essentially try and start up the generators again. Okay. So this is all going. So from the outside, the runabout is, as I say, part nose up to this pyramid, and it's like sending a beam of energy into the receptors. And inside the structure, those of you who are observing, Kerrin is working on the equipment inside the locus control room. And as I say, she then. I'm just going to make a roll for her, so just bear with me. Excellent. Okay. Sorry, another one. 2D. Yeah. Right. So she manages then to instigate the locus's own power system. So again, within the structure, the consoles come back to life within the control room. And Giara, you being down in the sort of power generator. I want to say engine room's not quite the right word, but you know what I mean. Where the generators are, these things are beginning to spin up, and your readings, look good, and the system is, despite the fact that this is, 15,000 years old or something stupid, it all seems to be working well. And sure enough, all that you had to do was give it a jump start and get it back up to speed, and all the systems seem to be coming back to life. And you can then kind of leave the generator room. I guess you probably leave one of your engineers there just to keep an eye on it. But you're happy that it seems to be working as expected. Okay.
Yep.
So that's all going on. So meanwhile, up on the Vigilant, let us have a little look and see what is going on there. So I'm going to suggest that. So we have a look at. So your second income. See what we'll do. Actually, we're going to go. Why don't we we'll give Lieutenant Rodriguez something to do, because she's never has much to do. So she's the strategic operations officer. So she's like the sort of senior tactical person who's on board at the moment. So she's supervising the creation of these mines. So as I say, what you're doing is you're basically stripping out photon torpedo, because the Vigilant's got quantum torpedoes as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think let me just double check.
We'll
Let me just,
save those
yeah,
for the
I was going to ask you, do you want to save those for
save
shooting
those
at-
for any unpleasantness.
Okay, so the Vigilant has got photon torpedoes and has got quantum torpedoes. So I'm assuming you're going to keep the quantum torpedoes for that, but the photon torpedo. So you've probably got I'm going to say you've probably got a complement. I don't know how many. I don't know. Probably got what 40 torpedoes, should we say? Given how big those torpedoes are, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
Googling.
I thought there might have been more than that, but I don't know.
Well, let's have a look. Hang on a minute. I'm sure Google can help me out here. So
Yeah.
great for radio, but how many photon torpedo? I'm sure the technical manual will probably tell me.
That's up in the cupboard, so I can't.
I'm going to say there's an official answer. How many photon torpedoes? Oh, hello. So it's got 50 Okay, you've got 50 photon and quantum torpedoes. Is the official complement of torpedoes. So I'm going to allow you. So you tell me what's the ratio between quantum and photon torpedoes.
Considering it's a science ship, I would say.
Well, the Defiance Vigilance not a science ship, is it? Really?
No, but it's remember it's been modified. So
yeah. Okay. You tell me. You've got 50. You've got a complement of 50 torpedoes. We're going to assume that you've got a full complement of torpedoes because obviously you've not used them recently. So
I reckon it would probably be something like 20, 30, and I reckon it would be 20 quantum.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it seems about right. I'll go with that.
Okay, so we're going to say 20. Not that this is going to come back to bite you on the arse later, but
well, 20. Yeah. No, I'll go.
So so what that means is you've got 30. Potentially, you've got 30 mines that you can retrofit, and you've got time to do it. Because again, all they're doing is they're literally getting the photon torpedo casing, they're ripping out the propulsion system, and you're just turning it into a casing with a bomb in it. Okay. So right, so you are the Vigilant then is able to set up 30 mines. So 30 mines around the planet. Okay, that gives me something to work with. So well,
it's actually along the flight path to. It's not, as I was saying earlier. It's not around the planet.
Sure. But what I mean is you can deploy those 30 mines can be deployed, but that means you've got 30 mines. So when it comes time to start blowing shit up, we'll know that you've got 30 mines to work with. And what I'm going to suggest is let's just going to do this quickly. Okay, brilliant. So the good news is I'm going to roll for every 10 mines. I'm going to roll 2d20. Target number is going to be 14. So as long as you don't, so that the first 10 mines are successfully converted. The second 10 mines, so 20 mines have now successfully been converted.
Oh.
And all 30. So Rodriguez's team managed to successfully retrofit 30 mines. And then they begin operations to start deploying these out. So you've again, based upon the flight path that you took in, Katie West starts deploying, gets a shuttlecraft, loads up a bunch of these mines, sticks a couple of guys in with spacesuits, and they literally rack these things up, and they go off and start depositing these mines along the likely route into orbit. Yeah. Okay, so this is all these actions are all taking place concurrently. So after so that's all going on. So meanwhile, Kerrin wants to try, and now that there is energy has been enabled. So Kerrin is now going to try and actually activate the locus and see whether she can actually get the Oracle system to communicate with the Tilical technology. Because obviously this is your your orders are that you may have to try and destroy this equipment, but presumably, I'm assuming that you want to have a go at least trying to get it to work first, right? Is that fair?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
do you feel differently?
yeah.
Okay. So the way we're going to work this is I'm going to get each of you to make some rolls here, because again, there's a whole sequence of things to go through, but so everyone's got something to do. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to get Kaz. You need to make. Can I get you to make a? So the first task is that you are going to tie your. You're going to use your tricorder to tie into the ship's library computer and bring up the Iconian translation matrix that you've been setting up. Okay, so that's going to be a reason and science task. So I'll get you to do it because it's difficulty 0. All right. So
right. Okay. So reason is where are we? It's 9 and science.
You're probably not the best person for the job, but again, I want to just give everyone a chance to roll something. So
it gives me 12. So base of 12.
Yeah. Okay. Go for it. So 2d20. And you have got momentum. You've got 3 points of momentum to spend, but these tasks will get significant. They will get increasingly more difficult. So
right, okay. So I will hold off. Not so good.
Okay, so that's 1 success, but it's a difficulty 0, so you've succeeded.
Okay.
Okay, so you only needed to get again. You made it. So you basically hook up the translator matrix, and that ties into the ship's. You basically tie into the ship's computer via the tricorder, and you can use the ship's computer to help you translate, so that you know what you're putting into the system. Okay. So yeah, go on.
No, I'm just saying. Okay, yeah.
Yep. Right. So the next thing that's going to happen is she's going to use. She's going to basically now try and activate the Locus's main communications apparatus, because the purpose of this device, of course, is for it to communicate with all of the other Iconian artifacts that are tied into the Tilical network. So she needs to bring the communications operation online. So I'm going to roll for her. So she's got a reason. It's a reason and engineering task. So she has got, I believe it was a 12, we said. I will just double check. She's got 11. But she's also got a focus of Iconian technology, because obviously she spent some time working with this. So now, do you want me to spend a point of momentum for her to give her another dice to roll? Hello?
What difficulty was it, Steve?
It's difficulty. Oh, sorry, you're right. I didn't tell you that. Difficulty 2.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
I think so.
Okay, let me just double check. I believe it's 1 second. What do they call that? Oh, yeah, create advantage. Blah, 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 blah. Add additional d20s. First dice costs 1, second dice costs 2. So I'll spend 1 point of momentum. She's going to buy an additional dice, so she's going to roll 3 d20. Okay, so just bear with me. 1, 2. Oh
dear.
Complication. That's 3. Oh, brilliant. So she scored. Okay, so you got 3 successes there, but you've also got a complication. So she. I'm going to suggest that she uses another point of momentum to buy off the complication.
Yep.
So basically, she made the roll successfully. So you don't gain another point of momentum. The point of momentum that she generated immediately goes to buy off that complication.
Yeah, sounds good.
So basically, she sees a problem happening and she manages to quickly bypass it and stay on track. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Next up, then, she needs to put in a command sequence to bring up the system to start transmitting to the other locuses, which are the other Iconian artifacts, which are located around through the region. So this is reason and security. So I reckon Koleesh is a good one to go for this one. I know you're not technically here, but I think again I'll just give you something to do. So if you want to make a reason and security roll, so again you've got 3 points of momentum still in the pot, which you can spend if you wish. This is a difficulty 2.
Okay. I think I will take spend a point of momentum and roll a third dice.
Right, there you go. So I've spent. There you go. So you've got there you go. So you've got 3 dice to roll for me, please.
Oof.
That's what's your reason and security?
I haven't got it up, Steve. Let me just.
That's right. No, I can find it. I think I've got it up already. If not, I'll find it. I just have my little page open here with the Koleesh has got. So Koleesh's reason and security. That's not so great. Is 11. So, but that's okay because you made a success, which is the main thing. So I think you got 1 success. You got 1 success, didn't you?
1 success, yeah.
1 success. That's fine. Koleesh you're sort of struggling with this, but what we'll do is we'll get one of your security people to back you up because you made 1 success. Then somebody else can assist you. So I'm going to have a quick look at. So we know that. Let's say Marconi, because we know Marconi's there. He's got reason and security of 12. So let's make him roll 1d20. Brilliant. He manages. He backs you up, and yes, you manage to get the command sequence. That Tarina's sent you the command sequence. So then she manages to get that uploaded, and so the equipment begins to function again. So final. Oh no, still not finally. Got more to go. So the next step is that she's going to be need to determine whether the other locuses are actually now communicating with the Oracle via your installations. So this is going to be reason and engineering. So I reckon Giara could probably do this one.
Mm-hmm.
So reason and engineering, difficulty of 2. So yeah. Again,
so
it's
11 and 5.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Hang on.
So what was that? Sorry.
11 and 5.
So
but
16.
Hang on.
Oh, look, perfect. 2 successes, no problem. Fine. So right. So okay. So this basically means that as you're watching in the control center of the locus, you see that the star map has begun to come to life again, and you can see it's like it's literally showing you where these other installations are being come online. So you can see that essentially where it's communicating with these other stations throughout the sector.
Print screen.
Yeah, exactly. Print screen. Quick, take a screen grab of that. And this process takes some time. This probably because obviously, although you're dealing with Iconian technology has sort of the Iconian gateways have like instantaneous transport. But there's still some limitation on the time. So this probably takes about 10 minutes or so while these things are beginning to come online. And you begin to see. So Tarin points out to you that the Oracle's computer system is now beginning to receive information from these other satellite stations. Essentially, the system is receiving data. It's almost too fast to follow, and Tarin is using her. She uses her. She kind of interfaces the tricorder with the ship systems again. To be able to for the system to be able to interpret all of this information that's coming in. You're not entirely sure what it's telling you, but basically there's loads of data being sent into the Oracle's computers. And if you were in the Oracle's control center, all of these displays would be like lighting up, and Iconian script is sort of flashing across all of the screens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. Next up then is so I'm going to get Osterhagen to make the next one because it's a reason and science roll. It's only a difficulty 1. So he should be able to. He's got reason and science of 15. So yeah, brilliant. Okay, he got that. So that's the 3 successes. So he gets you another point of momentum. because let me look at his focuses. Bear with me. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was only 2 successes, wasn't it? It wasn't 3. Okay, but you've still got 2 points of momentum in the pot, so you're doing very well. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go back to. I'll go back into this. This is the sort of this is inside the locus. Okay, so right. So Osterhagen determines that yes, indeed, the map is now updating itself, and you're beginning to see locations indicating where the billions, or you estimate it to be billions of Tilical bodies are housed in stasis on worlds throughout the Shackleton Expanse. You suspected this. You've encountered some of the. I think you've encountered 2 of these storage facilities where these, literally the bodies were being held in like suspended, or like storage or cold storage, basically. But maybe the scale of this is something you hadn't grasped. But again, the Oracle's computers are now updating the systems with this information, and you can see that there are literally billions of Tilical bodies stored throughout the Expanse, as well as there are some on worlds in more distant regions as well. And you also realise that there is a cache on Dysathus 2, which seems to be buried deep below ground in the southern polar region. So again, using the ship systems and the tricorder to interpret this, you can see that this planet, as well has a storage facility. So presumably there was an assessor here at some point, although that they're not immortal, so he may not be here anymore, and you've seen no indication of him. But again, this just goes to reinforce the scale of the Tilical's population. So you're talking about the population of like the Earth, as it stands today, scattered throughout many worlds throughout the Shackleton Expanse.
And all of them could come back crazy.
Well, it's a possibility. Right. Okay. Okay. So, Koleesh, I'm going to get you to make one more roll for me. I want you to make it's a reason and security task, please, with a difficulty of 1.
Look it up.
So again, Koleesh should be reason and security should be 11.
Yeah, 2 successes.
Perfect. Okay, so you determine you can also, so you're kind of monitoring this on your tricorder whilst your the Orions are doing basically all the work. You're kind of just there to keep an eye, to make sure that you're happy. But you're monitoring all of this on your tricorder, and you can see that it appears as if the Iconian network has now made a connection with the Tilical's interspatial network. And it might be even possible for you to communicate with the Tilical in their own pocket universe. What do they call it? The Adiri, which was the, like the energy forms of the Tilical.
Right.
But it seems as if this system is able to like even initiate interdimensional communication. So basically, this whole thing has taken the period of like an hour or so while all of this has happened. And where you're at now is that the locus seems to be up and running, and it has initiated contact with the Tilical network and all of these other locations around the Expanse. Majority of these are in the Expanse. However, as I say, there are some other more remote worlds on the map which are not in the Expanse, but the majority are in the Expanse. Right, as this is all going, so obviously, Kaz, you're kind of monitoring all of this. And as you're monitoring, old Marconi comes trotting in again. Not Marconi, sorry. Davis comes to you again. Because again, they can't communicate with you when you're inside the pyramid. Yeah. He says, Captain, I have a report from Narendra Station. Sir, Narendra Station's long-range sensors report that there are many planets throughout the Expanse which are showing increased energy readings from what we suspect to be Tilical technology. Also, the report has confirmed the Vigilant has picked up reports that there are 6 Romulan warbirds have decloaked and are now approaching the Dysatha system, sir.
Okay, time to intercept.
We estimate 12 hours before they're in range, before they're close enough to launch shuttles or to
Are they
reach the
close
planet.
enough? Are they close enough to pick up Vigilant? Yeah.
No, sir. The asteroid field, we suspect the asteroid field, as was our experience, is providing will provide sufficient cover to sensors. And again, they're proceeding cautiously. However, we estimate it's going to be 16 hours before the Federation task force arrives.
Hold on, Lieutenant. Because I'll head back outside again.
Okay.
And I'll go Kaz to Vigilant.
Go ahead. So there's a pause, and you hear Katie West is. Yeah, sorry, Captain. Yes, sorry. We're quite busy up here. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
How much you got to? How long to complete the mission? To complete the laying the mines?
We should have all the mines laid within the next 6 hours.
I wanted to get the Vigilant down and out of sight before the Romulans.
That's all right. Well, that still gives you 6 hours from when they complete the mine laying operation. I mean, the problem is they've got one shuttlecraft that they're doing it with, so they're doing it as quick as they can.
I say expedite the plan, and then bring the Vigilant down. I want you nicely tucked away before they turn up, get into sensor range.
Understood, sir. Vigilant out, and she goes off and proceeds to do her thing. Okay, so just to summarise, so here's where we are at the moment. We have so Koleesh is with the Orions setting up the decoy site, on the other side of the lake. That is proceeding without. You've had no issues other than simply it's just taking you the time to get it done, but everything is proceeding as expected.
Good.
So they've essentially replicated their outpost on the far side of this body of water that they were camped on. So Vigilant is proceeding with laying mines. So again, mines were all success. So 30 photon mines have been put together and are being laid, and they estimate 6 hours to completion of that task. And meanwhile, Kerrin and the rest of you have managed to get the Iconian network up and running, and it seems to be stable, seems to be up and running. And basically what it seems to be doing now is now that it's sort of calmed down a bit, the machine or the system seems to be basically pulling in information from all of these remote locations. Kerrin confirms that none of the Tilikal are being reawakened or anything like that is going on. At the moment, the system is simply active and it's just pulling in data. Okay, so you're not like suddenly awakening billions of Tilikal throughout the galaxy. At the moment, this system is just pulling in this information, and it's going to take, even though this is pulling in vast amounts of information, it's going to take a little while, and we're not talking hours, but it's going to take a little while for it to pull all of this in. And your plan is, as I understand it, that you're going to, once Vigilant has deployed the minefield, you're going to basically bring the Vigilant down to the surface, pop it in the lake, and see what happens. Is that where we are at the moment? Does that make sense? Right. So has anybody else got anything they would like to put in place now? Because I think what I'm going to do is we'll probably wrap up shortly, because I think the next thing that's going to happen is the Romulans are going to show up, which I think we'd probably be better off holding for next time so that we can give it due consideration. So has anyone got anything else they want to put in place? Any schemes or plans you want to make note of now?
Well, I think we got it pretty well covered.
Well, Mike, what's the plan for this tech if the Romulans get to it?
We have to destroy it.
How?
Yeah. Do we need to rig it up so that we can do that easily?
That's the thing, right? We want a kill switch. Also, is there? Can we reactivate the oracle so that it jumps away? Because rather than
Or
destroy
we
it,
have to
if it disappears, then
Yeah,
we
you
can
prob-
still potentially access it again, especially if
Yes.
we can draw it to another location.
You'll have to consult with Talin on that, but I like that idea. Yeah.
Okay. So Taryn, so you asked Taryn that question. So she is unsure. I mean, she has had, obviously she's had more
I mean,
interaction
she's
with the
our expert.
Oracle. She's the expert. She says it's theoretically possible because the Oracle, now that the Oracle and the Locus are fully powered, she says yes, the Oracle, of course, you'd have to basically switch back on the relocation system that you turned off, but she knows that that's not difficult. You've done that, so she can switch it back on.
If we switch that on and then we sabotage the locus so it loses power, because we want to sabotage that anyway, right? We want to destroy it so the Romulans can't have it, but we want to keep hold of the Oracle.
Sure, you could do either of those things are possible. I mean, she says, look, the bottom line is, yes, it's possible, but obviously, she doesn't know how achievable it is. But she says, yes, of the technology, yes, you could, as you say, you could shut down the locus. Would be easy to sabotage because you simply, if you just blow up the generators.
Yeah.
Which again,
the
runabout has got. Don't forget, the runabout has got micro torpedoes. So you could rig a photon torpedo from the runabout to do that job pretty handily.
I was going to say once the Vigilant gets down, get Giara and some weapon techs or things to create an antimatter charge.
Okay, you could certainly do that.
A large antimatter charge rather than sort of like the photons we might need on the way out. But as I say, if you can make a like they did with in Obsession.
Yep. Again, yes, you those are options you can obviously those are options that you can
I don't
pursue.
want anything. If we have to destroy this place, I don't want anything left.
I guess what you probably want to do is you probably want to rig it so that you can blow it up if you have to.
Yep.
But then you want to give her the chance to and she says to you, okay, so she says to you, Captain, I'm willing to volunteer to try and pilot the Oracle away from here, even if that means another temporal displacement. She says, I am out of time here, so I am willing to at least attempt to have the Oracle, jump away, even if that means that I am displaced in time. So I'm volunteering for that task should it come to it.
Could we set up or at least give her a location of some sort of Dropbox, so wherever she is in time, she can leave a message in a Dropbox?
Yeah, I guess you could do that. That could cause all sorts of temporal shenanigans, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Get a visit from the whatever they're called, Temporal Police.
Yeah. So I mean, she's basically saying that yes, the Oracle can jump away. The only thing she knows at the moment for sure is that the Oracle will respond to telecol technology. However, she's willing to look into that. And again, to be honest, she can probably spend some time looking at that once you see how this, because obviously at the moment the whole thing is up and running. And I guess she's waiting for it to pull down all the information before you decide what to do. Because the other questions you have to think about for next time are, firstly, what do you do with the Oracle and the telecom network? Because as far as you can tell, you can either try and bring the telecol back. You can presumably do the opposite, and you can presumably destroy the telecol network to prevent them coming back, or you can put things back the way they were. In other words, by taking away the locus or the Oracle, then that denies access. So although things will remain as they were with telecol technology and so on, but you take away that means for them to get back. That's another thing to consider.
Can I just make a comment before?
Please, yeah.
I'm not. To be honest, I don't know how the others feel, but I'm not comfortable with bringing them back. But I don't want to destroy the network either.
Well, no one says we've got to bring them all back in one go, right? We could.
Yeah.
maybe filter a few through, see how it goes. There's definitely a big dilemma that we've got to discuss.
Yeah.
And that is probably the moral dilemma at the heart of this whole campaign is,
Mm.
I mean, it's huge. You can't
should you
prevent
bring
them
them
from
back?
ever coming back, because that's genocide, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is, that's Star Trek
Specifically,
for you.
The other thing is we don't know why they're there. We don't know why they've been.
Yeah, we need more information, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the Oracle will be able to give you that information, because again, at the moment it's still processing it's still pulling information in. You've got 12 hours before the Romulans even arrive, so you've got more than 12 hours, because 12 hours is going to be when the earliest that they can be in a position to be, coming down. So you've got 12 hours. And as I say, things are in motion. So I think that's why I'm saying I think that's a good place to leave it for tonight, because gives you time to have a little think before next time about some of these questions. And one other thing to mention as well, which I think we've kind of forgotten about, and I must admit I'm guilty as well, is also you will need to make some provision for getting the Orions off this planet. So you may need to get them onto the Vigilant as well.
Yeah. So
because obviously if
I was wondering, Giara, once the Vigilant is down on the planet, do we think that the transporters will work in sort of short range? Because we'll need to transport, or at least get our scientists off of the Oracle.
Yep.
Oh, we will.
Yep.
So, yes. I think it's fair to say that once you're, once the Vigilant's down on the surface, then that obviously the atmospheric interference won't be a problem. So,
okay, cool.
You should be able to use transport
below the atmosphere. So,
yeah, I think that's totally fair. Great. Okay. Well, so I think unless anyone's got any other burning issues or questions, I've got stuff to go and chew on, and hopefully you've got a few questions there to think about before next time. So I suspect next time we might get through it, but we'll see how we go. There's a lot to cover. So again, I'm not going to I'm going to assume that next session will be the last session. That will be episode 66. Might be the last one, but it might go to 60. We will have an episode 67, because, as I say, once we've completed the story, then I also want to do a little wrap up.
Are you sure you can't? You couldn't finish on episode 66? Oh, sorry, hang on, that's a wrong franchise.
Well, I think we might, again, depending on how, depending on your decisions next time. We're sort of building to the conclusion. Again, you've got moral dilemmas to consider. There's action to happen. There's plans to put into motion. But I think you've done a really good job tonight of, you're as prepared as you can be, and I'm very impressed with some of the things that you've come up with, which had never occurred to me. Mining the asteroid field and all that is great stuff, which is not anything that's suggested in the scenario. So. Again, as always throughout this campaign, I've always applauded you all for your imagination and your ingenuity, and haven't disappointed me tonight. So I look forward to seeing how it all plays out next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Starship Vigilant. Kaz was played by Mike. Osterhagen was played by Kevin. Koleesh was played by Kerrin. Prux was played by Sarah-Jane, and Davis was played by Alex. Our theme music is Fanfare for Space by Kevin MacLeod. See you next time.